Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining us in this exclusive interview. Today's guest is known for doing Dr. Eggman in the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise. He's also done the narrator in Pokemon. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Mike Pollock. I know this question has been asked to you so many times before, but for those who still don't know, how is it that you got into the voiceover industry? And what was the first character you voiced?
Sure. I grew up loving theater and loving radio. And over time, as various radio jobs that I first had fell through, I was able to fall back on my theater experience and combine the two into what is essentially voice acting. It's still acting, but mostly I'm using my voice, and you can't see me do it, so I guess that makes it voice acting. And it combines just the essence of the acting I love without all the makeup and lighting and costumes and rehearsal and line memorization and stuff. And the first character depends on when you want to start counting. When I was in radio, I did a bunch of commercials that went places. But I guess the first standalone character worth remembering, even though it's barely worth remembering at this point, was in a VHS video called Little Tug's Big Adventure, where I played all the male boats and almost some of the female boats, but they didn't like my attempt at that. And you can find that floating around on the internet for outrageously high prices, which I wouldn't pay.
What about an anime called Demon Fighter Kocho?
Demon Fighter Kocho was the first anime I did. That was the result of sending out some demo cassettes, which shows how old that was. And one of the studios that found me and liked me was NYAV Post, and I've been working with them on various stuff ever since.
And was this around the time you became the narrator for Pokemon?
More or less, yeah. The second demo that I sent out got picked up by the Pokemon people, and they brought me in for a guest spot on one of the earlier episodes. And then eventually, when they needed a narrator switch out, I'd already been doing a bunch of stuff at 4Kids Productions and various shows there, and they said, "Come here, read this." So I became the narrator for Pokemon for a couple of years.
Can you give us a sample of the narration?
Sure. Ash and friends are on their way to battle in the latest place that I can't think of right now.
I was thinking Palatown.
Palatown's a good answer.
Now, how did you become the voice of Dr. Eggman, and did you use any voice samples from previous games?
Sure. Started doing stuff with 4Kids for a while. After the first Pokemon thing, I was in Ultimate Muscle, Kirby Right Back at Ya, and the way things worked there, if a producer for a show knew you and liked you, they would get you on other shows they were doing. And the producer of Kirby Right Back at You was also producing a mystery project that would ultimately become Sonic X, and they brought me in for auditions. They sent me some samples of Dean Bristow from one of the earlier games to listen and match and do a sound-alike thing. So I went home and practiced my Dean Bristow. I'm Dean Bristow. And I had an audition and about 3 more callbacks before they were able to convince Sega that I was the guy for the job.
In addition to Eggman, you voiced yet another character in Sonic X. Can you elaborate on that?
Oh, you're talking about Ellen and Abe, yes. I was also Ellen and Abe on Sonic X.
How did that come to be? I mean, did you just... They needed someone and you just jump for it, or?
Yeah, Ella appeared in the first few episodes, and I was there for an Eggman session, and they remarked, Ella still hasn't been cast. Who do we know who could do that? And they had run out of names, and they said, I guess, half seriously, we should have Mike try it. I went, okay, how's this? I gave them the sample, came back for the next session the following week. They said, no, we gave it to someone else. And then came back for a session the week after that, and they said, no, guess what, you got it. So I was Ella the Maid from then on.
Oh, wow. Do you know who that other voice actor was, or?
No, it was a don't ask, don't tell situation.
Gotcha, okay.
Casting is best left secret. For example, a bunch of other people auditioned for Dr. Eggman. I don't know who they were.
Yeah.
Booked the role, you don't know either.
That's true. All those NDAs out there.
Mm-hmm.
For this particular series, did you ever work alongside Jason Griffith?
Alongside is a tricky word, because Sonic X was recorded separately, as most dubs are in the Western world.
That's correct.
But we did work together on a couple of projects, some other dubs that were group records or 2 people together records, and then a few pre-like things where we record the voices first and then we animate later. But all of our Sonic stuff was done separately. The most efficient way, and it's based on efficiency, to do dubbing is to get everybody in individually, so you can record line by line and then take a few seconds to make sure each line fits perfectly with the magic of editing and stretching and squeezing and pitch shifting and whatever else I have to do. And so you just focus on each individual line without wasting anybody else's time. If everybody was there, you're still working with him, but I'm standing here. That's no fun.
In a previous interview we had with former Sonic the Hedgehog voice actor Ryan Drubbard, he pointed out that the series has gone through a lot of recasting. However, you seem to be the one and only Eggman. Why do you think that is?
Casting is based on who the producers want. So I guess we can guess that I'm the guy the producers want.
You picked up a few more characters, though, in Sonic Boom. What characters were those?
In Sonic Boom, I was also Fastidious Beaver, who is often correcting people when working at the library, and the mayor of the town, the mayor of our named village.
You also did the mayor in Kirby Right Back at You, didn't you?
Yes, I was. This was Mayor Len Blustergas from Kirby in Cappy Town.
Most of your characters are either professors, doctors, or somehow in the science field.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from animation and anime, where else can we hear your voice?
All sorts of stuff. Actors are freelancers. We're always trying to book all the jobs we can. So I'm doing commercials. I'm doing other dubs. A lot of dubs from 3-beat productions that I'm doing now. There's if you like stuff for younger audiences, I've been Caillou's daddy in recent Caillou episodes for the past couple of years. There is also on Amazon Prime and other places Robot Trains. I play one of the robots in that. And P-Buster. I play a talking toy drill sergeant, essentially. So I never know I'm going to turn up from one day to the next. So best of luck.
Surely you've seen and heard all about the upcoming new Sonic the Hedgehog movie, correct?
I've heard about it.
I mean, the ads are plastered everywhere. Can you give us your opinion on Jim Carrey's take on Eggman? Of course, his role is known as Dr. Robotnik, which is the Western name for Eggman.
Going back to casting and professional courtesy, casting decisions are best left to casting directors and producers and stuff, and same rules apply. They picked who they wanted, so if he was good enough for the producers, he'll be good enough for me.
I'm curious to know, was voice acting your go-to career, or was there something else calling your name?
It would have been acting, acting encompasses all sorts of acting. I've done lots of stage work, a little bit of on-camera stuff, but some type of acting. But when it came time to choose a trade, acting is not exactly full of steady paychecks because shows come and go, commercials come and go, and you're always searching for jobs. Radio was my second love, or possibly my first love. I've lost track at this point. Radio jobs are also not very stable, but they tend to be more salary-based. So I was part-time at a radio station in college, then I got a full-time gig as a production director at a rock and roll station in Rochester, New York for a year. And then when that had enough of me, I worked at a radio syndication outfit for about 15 years. And the paychecks were steady, the work wasn't great, and eventually those companies did away with me as well. And I fell back on the voice acting stuff, and that's been working out pretty well ever since.
Did you ever take any classes or signed up to any programs that you might recommend to the audience?
Sure. Any type of community theater experience you can get is around town. In school theater is great because you can essentially learn on the job. There are acting courses. Both at, say, adult education might have some introduction to theater. If you're really serious about it, you can go to a university with a good theater school, and you can major in theater. But really, when you get out in the job world, especially for voiceover stuff, they don't care about your experience as much as do you have the sound you want, and do you sound like you're can you read aloud without sounding like you're reading aloud? And if you can do that, that's what people like. Nobody ever asks, what sort of training do you have? Training is important to have, but nobody's going to ask for it when you get to where you're looking for a job.
Well, I assume the training part would be the acting part of the voice acting, because, of course, like you pointed out, you don't want to sound like you're just reading off a script,
There are specific voiceover coaches as well that focus on mostly commercial work and audiobooks and stuff, but also some specialize in animation or offer some type of animation training. I went to one of those coaches as well, mostly to unlearn some radio habits. And once he pointed my attention to what I sounded like, I said, oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. I'll stop doing that.
Oh.
But, yeah,
okay.
On top of acting and on the job and on the stage acting, some type of voiceover coaching just to learn how to break down commercial copy, work with audiobooks, some basic studio operation, how to run your own home studio, that type of stuff. It's worth investing money, just like investing in any career. You spend some money and then you'll make it back when you're working.
You mentioned you've done audiobooks as well?
Yep. A couple of them long form, not well reviewed, not really great subjects for audiobooks. One was on physics and one was on Nazis. And then a couple of shorter kids book type things, either narrating the whole book or doing some characters in them.
Do you know if these are available on Audible?
The first two are on Audible. One is called A Nazi Conscience, is the Nazi one, and The Quantum Story. What's the subtitle? A History in 40 Moments. That's the physics one. Again, none of them either easy reads or easy listens, but they're both on Audible.
Before we end this interview, can you provide us with the following voices? Pokemon narrator.
Hi, we're on our way to Palatown because we left our keys there.
Eggman.
Hi, what are you doing in Palatown? Why are your keys there?
Ella, the maid.
Oh, excuse me, I found these keys. Are they anyone's?
Forgive me for mispronouncing this. Yusi? Is it from Weathering with You?
Yes, that was pretty much sounded like me, so he was a detective, so I found these keys. I'm going to dust them for print, see who they belong to.
You know, I've been noticing that you've been appearing in a lot of G Kids films, and that's that's pretty fantastic, because there was a film that you did that I didn't know you were in until I heard the character, and I'm like, oh my god, that's Mike Pollock, and that's Promare, I think.
Promare.
Yeah, Promare, and that became very famous here in the States as well.
Yeah, it was very well received. I have what we would call a small but pivotal role right in the middle of the film. And yeah, that's all based on auditions. I'm auditioning constantly, and those were based on auditions. They picked me, and there I was.
Did you ever see the full film, or just your little?
Yeah, we had a whole big thing in Manhattan, the whole Manhattan premiere. Not red carpet and stuff, but we all gathered in the theater and watched it in the back row.
What were your opinions of it?
It was great to watch with the crowd because people were hooting and hollering and applauding. My big line, which I'm not going to spoil, no spoilers, but I got a nice big round of applause, so thank you very much. But the color palette is rather intense, so maybe sunglasses might be in order. But it is a visually stunning film, if not rather bright in your face.
Yes, it's very colorful, extremely colorful.
I also love the theme of the film. You know, I wasn't expecting that element to be in this particular film.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we took my daughter, and she was not thrilled about going, but he left humming the tune. So.
Well, all right, we reached the end of the interview.
Mike, thank you so much for honoring us with this awesome interview.
Sure, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss any awesome and exclusive interviews coming your way. Coming up next is an interview with Dorothy Fan, known for doing the voice of Chihiro Fushisaki in Danganronpa. She's also done the voice of Marinette's mother in Miraculous Ladybug, Conan in Naruto Shippuden, Chizuru Minamoto in Kanokon, and much more, so stay tuned and subscribe, and we'll see you next time! Oh, and before I forget, are you a fan of Jack and Dexter? We'll be having a special guest on our channel. To find out who, go ahead and follow our social media. Links down in the description box below, or just visit our website at www.thekitsunenetwork.net. This has been your host, Crystal, and I'll see you next time.